What's up and welcome to the channel. My name is Headshot and thank you for joining us. Today we're going to do a review or comparison on the CZ P10 S versus the Glock 26. This is a Gen 4 model, but I do have a Gen 5 on the table, so we can pretty much make this apples to apples. I can show you some of the differences. So we have the newest version of the CZ P10 S, and we'll talk about the newest version of the Glock 26. Which would be the Gen 5, all right? So it's going to be fair, I can promise you. So before we get started, I'd like to thank our patron of the week, Mrs. Wendy, who's been with us for, I don't know, 6-7 months now. She's been with us for a while. We appreciate her support. And if you'd like to join our awesome community, you know where to find us. I got the link down below for you. Come over, check out some of our patches and t-shirts and extra little things like that. And the extra content, be a part of our community. If you'd like, come over and check us out over on Patreon. So let's go ahead and get started here with the CZ P10 S Glock 26 Gen 4. Let's just get the specs out of the way. All right, so CZ P10 S, you got a barrel length of 3.5 inches. You got a width of 1.2 inches. Weight, unloaded weight, is 24.4 ounces. Overall length is 6.6 inches, and height is 4.6 inches. Okay, Glock 26. This is the Gen 4. So the barrel length is 3.4 inches. Slide width is 1 inch, and then overall is 1.3. Weight, 21.5 ounces. Unloaded, of course. 6.5 inches long and 4.1 inches high. And this is really regarded as the original truly concealed carry type of firearm. You know, it's light enough, it's got a good round count, and very reliable. Of course, over the past, decade pretty much, we've had more and more guns like this come into the market, of course, with different features and such. So if we compare these two, because numbers are one thing, but the way they look, we'll put them slide to slide like that, and you can really tell, you got an inch difference there. If we put them like that, seeing the width, all right, you're going to get, you have 1/10 of an inch difference there. And then if we put them on their back, so the CZ is a 12 round gun, the Glock is a 10 round gun. And if we put them just like that, turn it towards the camera so you guys can see it, there's your difference. Now, the way these are listed is you basically have a half of an inch. So you may be thinking, well, what kind of difference does that make to me? And this is what you're trying to hide. This is what you're trying to conceal if you are a, of course, law-abiding concealed carry citizen. Then that's what you're looking to conceal right there. Okay, that's what causes printing and everything else. So I would say actually that's pretty significant when you look at them like that. And then, of course, the CZ is going to be a heavier gun. So if we're just looking, at stats, well, the Glock 26 wins right off the bat. But of course, there is more that goes into this. And by the end of the video, I'm going to pick a winner. We're going to do pros and cons. We're going to do a little bit of shooting. So there are things that we're going to get into, and it is definitely more than that. So let's talk about some of the features. This is where these guns really start to get separated. Let's start with the CZ. All right, so you have front and rear slide serrations. I really like these serrations. They're cut nice deep into the frame. When you pull the serrations on this gun, you really feel confident that you're going to get a good bite on it so you can charge the gun up. If you do your press checks or whatever, you got your front serrations right there. They do have a one slotted rail on the CZ opposed to the Glock 26, which does not have a rail on this model. Of course, there are trigger guard attachments that you can run, but that's going to change things. If you, let's say, get a holster for this gun and then you get a trigger guard like a Crimson Trace or something like that, then that's going to change the type of holster that you're going to get. Well, that'd be the same case for this too. If you got a light or a laser, that would change the type of holster you would get, okay? On these guns, unless you're using it for home protection as well, well, I don't know. It might be useful. It depends, if you were somebody that works late at night or whatever the case may be, you maybe need a little bit more light than other people So you could take it on and off. Maybe you get home during the day, but you want it for home protection at night. That's something you could do as well, and then you wouldn't have to worry about the holster. So there's ways to get around that, but for all intents and purposes, you got a rail here. You don't on the Glock. Squared off trigger guard, high undercut in the frame. Gun feels great in the hand. It truly is a smaller CZ P10C, and that's what you're getting with this gun. Reversible magazine release, and I like their magazine release this time. It really was not that great on the CZ. It was just too stiff on that gun. On this one, instead of making it fully ambidextrous, they made it reversible, and that really helped with this thing a lot. So really nice job there. It's serrated, all right, so you get a decent grip on that thing. And then their grip texturing, they thought about this. So they put slighter, less abrasive little squares right here on the side. So this is what's going to be up against your skin when you're concealed carrying. But on the front straps, where you really want the bulk of your grip texturing, they put pretty aggressive raised type of little pyramids almost there. So really nice job with that. Two 12-round magazines is what this is going to come with, and it's also going to come with back straps. So you can change this back strap. It comes with the small. If you want a little bit more of a hump, you can go with a medium or a large. Now, there may be some features and stuff that we miss in the comparison, okay? So we do have individual reviews on both of these guns, so if you want to go over and check those out. While you're checking it out, if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe and all of that good stuff. We'd love to have you join us here on YouTube. All right, so one nice thing that CZ does is they have little kind of they're pretty much serrated pads right here on both sides. So when you're going to bring this gun up to the ready, your thumb has a place to sit there, so it's not sliding off. Just a nice little touch that I like the CZ does there. Slide stop, it looks bigger than what it is because it's very flush to the frame of the gun, but it's wide enough to where you can manipulate it easily. 3-dot sights. There is no tritium inserts in the rear on this one. These do come optics ready and non-optics ready. This is the non-optics ready. But it does have a tritium insert up front with an orange ring around that tritium insert. Loaded chamber indicator right here. So when a round goes in the chamber, try not to point this at myself. They are safety checked, by the way. But you can see that little bit of red popping up right there. So when a round is in the chamber, it's going to push that extractor out. And then you have your slide stop on this side of the gun. Left-handed shooters, you can make this gun accommodate you. So pretty cool. Loaded with features. If we just look at it compared to the CZ P10C, you can see they obviously got their inspiration from the bigger brother here. So pretty nice looking guns too, I think. So there we go. That's the CZ P10C. Features of the Glock 26. Of course, we talked about the rail or the lack thereof. Squared off trigger guard, high undercut in the frame. If we compare that to the CZ, you can see Glock pays a little bit more attention to that area. So you can really get your hand high up, which on this gun, that 1/2 of an inch really makes a big difference. Now I have smaller hands. I can choke up on this gun pretty good, and it does not feel bad. But compared to the CZ, I'm going to get much more real estate. All right, so 1/2 of an inch makes a big difference on these smaller guns. But you can see how higher I can get my middle finger up into the frame of the gun, kind of choke up on this thing because you don't have a lot of real estate here. All right, magazine release. This is the oversized magazine release they did on the Gen 4. If we compare that to the Gen 5, they are exactly the same. One thing on the Gen 5 is you're not going to have any finger grooves. So if that's something that bugs you about the Gen 4 or the Gen 3, well, go with the Gen 5 because it doesn't have any of that. Also, the Gen 5s have a flared magazine well, whereas we'll put them side by side here so you can see, Gen 4 does not have the flared magazine well. Gen 5 does. All right, so a little bit easier to get your mags in and out there. On the Gen 4, you do have these rails. So nothing comes off of this gun. You're only going to put provisions on. And it has these little rails right here, so you can pop this pin out, put your different backstrap options if you want one with a beaver tail. If you don't, whatever, it comes with quite a few. It comes with a sleeve of just beaver tail and non-beaver tail backstrap options for you. So that's pretty cool. Slide stop, very small, very minimal compared to the CZ, and it's flush to the frame as well. Slide serrations just here in the front. Now there are different Glocks and stuff that you can get that have the slide serrations up front as well if you wanted to go with something like that. Magazine release is reversible, and then they have their RTF or rough texture finish on the gun, which is pretty good. It's got these little raised pyramids. Again, they're different on the side strap compared to the back and front strap. All right, so they gave you a little bit of relief there when you're carrying this gun and it's up against your skin, which is a nice little touch there. And overall, the gun's pretty nice. Now, it's going to come with standard Glock plastic sights right out of the box. This is pretty much like a Glock tax, and people are willing and going to pay that tax most of the time because their original sights just suck, and it is what it is. And then these do have a sort of a loaded chamber indicator, but it doesn't show red or anything like that. It's just going to stick out a little bit when the round is in the chamber there. All right, now let's talk about slide materials and stuff. So on the new Gen 5, you're going to get their Marksman barrel, the NDLC finish, which is this right here. All right, so they did change up the finish. They had issues with the Gen 4 finishes. And this new finish, it does have like a discoloration. It's really weird how it discolors. I'll show you both of them just like that. You can tell my Gen 5 definitely looks better than the Gen 4. Of course, my Gen 4 is older and it's been holstered more than this gun right here. But it seems like the Gen 5 is holding up a little bit better. It just has this weird kind of discoloration thing that happens over time. Fingerprints or whatever it is, but no rust or anything like that. And when it's all cleaned up, it actually does look really nice. I believe this finish is definitely better than what is on the Gen 4. It just scratched really easy, and again, weird discoloration was happening on this one, but no rust, so that's a good thing. And it's a carry gun. I'm not totally like, oh my God, I can't believe, there's a little scratch or something. I don't treat my guns like that. I use my guns, so I don't sit here and nitpick every little, imperfection that's on it. That's just not me. But the Cold Hammer Forge barrel is in the CZ P10 S, and it's a stainless steel slide and barrel with a nitride finish. And I've had guns with nitride finishes before, and they seem to hold up pretty much against anything. I mean, really, no rust, very minimal discoloration. I really like the finishes that CZ does. Actually, here you go right here. This one's a little bit older. All right, if we hold them up like that, you can tell a little bit more worn. This has not been in and out of a holster, except for, every once in a while I'll carry this gun in a holster or something, but I don't carry it a whole lot, but it still looks pretty good. All right, so I like what they did. I like the finish. Cold Hammer Forge barrel, of course, are very high quality. So you have a Czech made or Austrian made, but both of these are US made. All right, so no big deal right there. So take away from that, both of them have slide reversible magazine releases. This one obviously has no finger grooves. The Gen 4 Glock has them. Gen 5 does not. Front and rear slide serrations on the CZ, where you just have the rear on the Glock. This one has a rail. This one does not. And you can get some pretty cool colors with the Glock, by the way. That's battlefield green. So overall, there are some differences there, but they have some similarities too. Before we take you guys to the range with us, I did want to mention that you have a free $20 off coupon sitting over at Sportsman's Guide. If you are into outdoor anything, those guys got you hooked up. Spend $100, get $20 off with our discount code HEGSHOT87. Awesome company hooking you guys up. So let's go ahead and take you to the range and show you what these guns are all about. All right, so let's go ahead and check the trigger here on the CZ P10S. It does have a dingish right there in the middle, very similar to the Safe Action. Pull the trigger, nice clean break, and the reset is very short. Nice trigger on this gun. Let's check the weight here. Again, I lost the battery door on my Lyman, but that's all right. It still works. 5 pounds, 3 ounces. Try it again here. So 5 pounds, 7 ounces, 6.1 is what I'm pulling. Let's try it on the Glock. Glock triggers are the worst to pull in these gauges because they're more curved. 6.1. They list it at around 5.5 pounds, but they list that on all of their guns. 5 pounds, 13 ounces, right in the high 5 pound, 6 pound range, somewhere in there. They're very similar. Let me show you the Glock, though. I didn't do that. Most of the Glocks, minus the single stacks, pretty much have the same type of trigger pull. A little bit of creep. It does feel a little bit heavier than the CZ. Reset is right there. But here's the thing. Trigger-wise, I call them pretty much even. What's not even is the way they feel drawing to your target. This is something you have to get used to shooting Glocks. If you shot like M&Ps or CZs or anything like that in the past, this is going to feel very different to you. It does not mean you can't shoot the gun. It's just different. The degree, the grip angle is very different. All right, so when you pull this up, I have Trijicon HD sights on this, by the way, and I just have to get the gun pointed down more, whereas the CZ is more of a natural point, boom, it's there kind of aim. Okay, it's just different. I mean, that's all there is to it. Both guns do fine, though, at the range. I've had some really good groups with this gun. I trust this gun because it's always been reliable for me, and most Glocks are going to. They're not perfect, but they are very reliable, and they have a great track record. All right, CZ really has a great track record as well. All right, so this being their first and second, or really their first striker-fired platform, they've done a fantastic job, and both guns are really good at the range. What you'll notice, though, is the CZ is a little more comfortable to shoot. It's a little bit heavier, though, too, and it's got 2 extra rounds. Okay, so you're going to get a little bit more grip length while gaining 2 more rounds. A little bit lighter on the Glock. So really, this takes me into pros and cons, and let's go ahead and talk about this. And again, on our comparisons, sometimes there's going to be some pros and cons that weren't mentioned in the original videos, and that's because I'm looking at these guns now comparatively, and not just by themselves. So pros on the CZ, the price. It comes in most of the time. I'm not going to say a figure because this video could be watched 10 years from now and it could be way different. But most of the time it's going to come in, 50 to maybe 75 bucks cheaper. Okay, even with the optic plate, if you go with that version, it is what it is there. Okay, so the price on the CZ is generally pretty dang good. And it's loaded with a lot of features that I like. I like the reversible magazine release now. I don't have to have a full-time ambular release, especially considering the difference it makes with the stiffness. They did a really good job there. Awesome trigger on this gun. I love the little serrated pads here in the front, so it just gives you a nice grip texturing. I like what they did with the grip texturing on the actual grip itself, making it aggressive in the front and rear, keeping it subtle on the sides. Backstrap options are nice, and the magazines pop out really good. You do have a little bit of the rail there, so if you want to use that rail, you can do it. Slide serrations are awesome. All right, Glock 26. What's good about this gun? Quite a few things. All right, it's a smaller gun. All right, it's a lighter gun, so concealed carry wise, this is going to be a better option pretty much all the way around because it's shorter. And it's also lighter. So you're carrying this gun every day, 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of metal and plastic in your pants. Ounces make a big difference, okay? So shorter and lighter. And then, of course, you do get Glock reliability, which most of the time they're going to go bang, which is a good thing. Aftermarket support is awesome. And here's one thing. Other than that, they're both pretty accurate, but they're as accurate as you are. So I don't really count that. Overall, the gun is just great. I like the texturing on the grip. It does a really nice job. So yeah, it's very minimal, very simple, and I appreciate that about Glock. But here's the thing. So let's talk about the cons of the CZ. And the first one I have to mention, I think, is the magazines. So you have the older version of the CZ P10C. All right, it has the dual cuts here. The new version of the CZ P10 S has 4 cuts. So these mags right here will not work in my CZ. All right, in my CZ P10 S. You have to have the newer version of the P10C to work. To me, that's a con because you have the Glock 26 where all the mags between the different gens work, but they weren't able to get them between this version of the P10C and this version of the P10S. Pretty much the same platform, but I believe because they had to, I believe one of our viewers from the original video left us a comment saying that the cuts in the slide, the reversible magazine, compared to the Ambi magazine release, they had to make a change there. But it's just unfortunate that they weren't able to get them to work with each other. All right, so that's the first con I see. The other con I see is that they put an awesome front night sight up front, but they left the night sight provisions out in the rear. So like on the original one, they did pretty much the same thing, although it's a smaller dot. They actually made it bigger on the smaller gun, which is great. But then they had the tritium night sights in the rear on the original gun. They left that off here. So, you know, at nighttime, low light situations, I don't really like that at all. Okay, so I don't think they did a very good job with that. So that's just a couple of the things that I see there. So what about cons on the Glock 26 Gen 4? The Glock Tax is one of them. They still, you know, some of the versions do come with a Glock night sight option, but their base model still comes with the plastic sights that everybody changes. I just wish it's something that they would upgrade, even if it's not night sights. If it's a metal 3-dot sight option, would be better than the crap they put on their guns. Still to this day, it's definitely a con because it's extra money you got to spend, and it's already more expensive right out of the gate. Also, the grip angle compared to the CZ P10S. So if I believe that if I took 100 new shooters, never shot either one, I could get them to shoot more accurately and better with the CZ P10S right out of the gate than I could the Glock. Now, if I had unlimited amount of time, I could get them to probably shoot great with either one, but this gun is just a more natural shooting gun. This one takes a little bit more work. Again, it's not a bad thing. It's just, you know, just something I wanted to point out there. Personally, I don't think the trigger on this one is as good as the CZ P10S. I just don't. Right out of the box, I don't think it is. The spot for the rail here, I think it gives a little more bit of a nod, but you know, these guns being, you know, mainly focused at concealed carry, that's I could take that or leave it, to be honest with you. The only real benefit I see of this is if this is your only gun and you want to use it as a home defense gun, then you want to have a spot for a light or a laser, then this is going to be a little bit easier for you to hook up. Trigger, we just talked about that. And the magazines, the magazine release, pretty much on any of the Glocks I've ever used, are not the best. All right, they're just kind of poop the magazines out there. They don't really shoot them out. I think on the CZ, they do a much better job of just getting out of there so you can get a fresh mag back into the gun. That's a small point, but it's a point that I wanted to make. So you have some differences here, and I think you get a better value with the CZ P10S, but you're going to get a heavier gun as well, all right? You're going to get 2 more rounds here, but you're also going to take on more weight. The Glock 26 in the application of just concealed carry is a better gun. It's lighter, it is reliable, and it is shorter in the grip. And those are probably some of the most important things for a concealed carry gun. All right, so we're at the point of the video where I got to pick one here. And the CZ P10S comes to the table with a lot of nice extra features that I personally think are better than the Glock. All right, it comes with night sights, although it doesn't have night sights in the rear. I don't understand that. It comes with a better trigger. It comes with front and rear slide serrations. It essentially has more features, and it's less money. In my hands, I think it's even a better shooter, but I still give the slight nudge to the Glock 26. The reliability obviously is there. If they weren't reliable, neither gun would probably be on the table, to be honest with you. They're both reliable. The Glock's very reliable, but the Glock is lighter and it's a little bit shorter. And then the application of concealed carry, which is what these are aimed at, this gun is going to be a little bit better all the way around. Just a little bit. I mean, really, we're talking about just a fraction better in this role. All right, if we're talking about a range gun, I'm taking the CZ. All right, but in this role, the Glock to me is a better option. And one thing I wanted to mention, I did not want to leave this out. We did have a little bit of an issue with this gun within the first couple of magazines, but I talk about more. I go more in depth of that in the review of this gun. But we got it worked out, and we haven't had an issue since. But this gun I've never had an issue with, and I just think for what it is. And even as old as this design is, I would go with the Glock 26. I think it's a better concealed carry gun, and that's where I'll leave it. So I want to hear what your opinion is down in the comments below. Which one do you like better and why? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching. If you are a power patron or up, your outro is coming right after this. Thank you for your support, of course. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.